Hi Cancer, welcome to your March 2017 general tarot reading. It's Rena here. And so I've been saying before every video, and I'll say it before yours, that there have been changes in terms of how I've been receiving comments on YouTube. And so I do read the comments. Sometimes, though, it takes a long time to actually see them. It seems like they've been doing all kinds of different things. And so just know that I do appreciate your comments, whether or not I acknowledge them. And I do try to acknowledge them as often as I can. Sometimes, you know, it can get excessive because of the amount of people, or maybe I'm doing something else and I read the comments. So I just want to thank you. That's all. Maybe that was like a little bit convoluted, but I do want to thank you for that. Also, I wanted to just tell you about a few things that are happening astrologically in March. They may have been covered in a previous, my love reading for March. So I apologize if I'm repeating myself, but some people might not have seen that. And one of them is the Venus retrograde. And, you know, Venus doesn't retrograde as often as some of these other planets. So it's retrograding like I think it's about every year and a half. So it's more significant. You know, it's just like when you have Mars transiting your sign, it's not happening that frequently either. It's happening like, I think it's every 2 years or so. So some of these transits, you know, we sit up and take notice because they're not happening that often, like a Mercury retrograde happening a few times a year. And so for you, that it starts in the sign of Aries at, I believe it's 13 degrees of Aries. So for you, that's your 10th house of career, and it goes back into your 9th house in Pisces. So that could play out, you know, just in general with issues surrounding work and compensation, because Venus can indicate money. So you may be questioning, and it's also about your self-worth. So you may be questioning whether or not your job reflects that, or it doesn't have to be your job, it's your career. Whether your career is in alignment with you harmoniously, because Venus represents peace and harmony. And maybe you're in a situation where you are in a type of field that is very stressful. And maybe this Venus retrograde is going to make you kind of reconsider that, because maybe there's a lot of competition, and you know, you're not, being a Cancer, you're very ambitious in your own way, but you're not necessarily that aggressive, where you're going to like step all over people to get to the top. And you may just be like, I don't like how I feel. Or it could be just like, you know, getting what you're worth financially. Maybe you're not getting paid what you feel like you deserve to be paid. And so then it goes into your 9th house, and that relates to your values. Well, I shouldn't say values, but your philosophy of life. And, you know, that can, for some people, you may decide that you want a career that's more on the spiritual side, where you're dealing with people, helping them in some kind of way that deals with, you know, positive thinking or yoga or something like that. And it may involve travel. There may be an opportunity that before was that slipped through your hands, and maybe it comes back into play, and you'll have the resources to be able to take advantage of it. So that's nice. And then we have the full moon on the 12th of March, and this is going to be in your 3rd house of internet, other types of communication, siblings and extended family members. So there might be some kind of closure related to this. You know, if you had some kind of unfinished business with someone in your family, that are not your parents. And also you may learn something of a sibling, learn some news, find out something. Sometimes full moons can bring some sort of awareness. What else is happening? We have a new moon at the end of March 27th, in Aries, again, that work sector. So your career is featured in March Cancer in some way. New beginnings at the end of the month, and maybe you're going to be doing something completely different with Venus going into that 9th house. You may be switching careers even. Sorry. Okay. So, right exactly what I was talking about. The heart of the matter is the Six of Pentacles, and this is a card of, you see the person holding the scales. Now, I used to interpret this card, the original way that I saw this card was a card of either giving or receiving charity. So for people who, are in need of a handout, this could be a card that says that will be happening. For those who are able, you may be helping another person, financially, because you have the means to do so. But now I see this card more about balance in give and take and getting what you deserve. And so it was just kind of like what I was talking about with Venus retrograde in the 10th house, where this may be a question for you. And obviously, in situations like that, it's symbolic of something that is far deeper than just the dollars and cents, but it's like speaking about what you're willing to put up with in a relationship, whether it's a business relationship or a personal relationship, how you value yourself, and how you, there's a saying, you teach others how to treat you. And what you accept is what they will typically, those are the boundaries that they will kind of respect. If you don't have boundaries, let's just say in your work life, it's really asking a lot to expect people to have the integrity that they're going to say, oh, no, you really deserve better than that. Here, let me give you more than you're asking for. If you kind of lowball, let's say you have a new job and you just ask for the least possible amount because you're afraid you won't get the job. Those kinds of things. And a lot of people do that because it feels like, oh my God, if I ask for too much, I won't get the job. And really the attitude is kind of warped in the sense that if you don't get the job, then maybe that's okay, because maybe you would be working at a place where you would be devalued, undervalued. So it doesn't matter where you get the job. Now I know it's easy to say when you really want to bring in some money, but it's one of those things that people have to work out inside their heads. And in personal relationships, this can be a situation. I keep using the example of one partner, for instance, staying home with the children, and the other one, bringing home the money, and that kind of a thing. And the person who is staying at home, they may feel that sense of powerlessness because they're not making any money if the other person lords it over them, and they have that attitude of like, I'm paying the bills. and so you're going to do what I want you to do, or just implying it, that can be a problem. So you may be grappling with that. Or just one party making more than the other, and the other person feeling somehow inferior or resentful. Just things that people feel that other people may think are silly, but to them it really means a lot. It means they feel like they're not, their self-esteem is affected by not making that money that the other person is making. So, it's just one of those things that some people go through. In the past, we have the World card. So there's some kind of closure or a chapter closing in your life. Now, this could be in a relationship. Maybe you've left a relationship. In that situation, perhaps you left a relationship with somebody because you did not feel that it was an equal relationship. That's another thing. Yeah, I didn't think about this. The Six of Pentacles can be about, someone taking advantage of the other person financially. And maybe it's not just financially. Maybe it's just one person, it's a lopsided relationship. And maybe you have left that situation. Or maybe you're just, it could have to do, I said ninth house, Venus going back into the ninth house. Now, I don't know if Venus will be going there in March or if that will be more in April. But it'll probably be at the end of March when it happens. But the World card could be about traveling far distances. And maybe you were a contract worker, or maybe you were just traveling even. But there seems to be something to do with compensation and your work, and maybe even working far away from home. And maybe you felt like you didn't get what you deserved, because we do have alongside that Six of Pentacles a card of mourning a loss. So it could have been a loss of a job, but it could have been that you feel a sense of just an emotional loss. Even if you quit, you could have still felt that way. In personal relationships, there may have been maybe there was an earth sign person involved in your personal life. Doesn't have to be the sun sign, but a Taurus, a Virgo, or a Capricorn. And maybe you thought that person, it was going to work out, and it hasn't. Maybe you met them on a trip. Or maybe they're from a foreign country. But it seems like for some of you now that you're not in that relationship for whatever reason. And there's like, you might be feeling a bit dejected. There are 2 cups remaining, so there's a silver lining in there somewhere, but you may not be feeling it. You may be just thinking about how much you miss this person, or the fact that you felt let down by somebody else. The thing about, like, if this is a work situation, it's interesting because we have as the higher message the King of Pentacles. And so this suggests to me that it's saying that it's all for the best because you're meant to have your own gig. Maybe you're meant to have your own business. You would definitely be, I think Cancer people would definitely be one of the more savvy signs when it comes to business. So perhaps you have been trying to conform to others' expectations too long, and really they're telling you that you have the ability to be your own boss and also to make a lot of money. This is a card of a lot of financial prosperity to the utmost. And it could be a person that is an earth sign or a practical type of an individual who owns their own business. If this is a personal relationship, could be a father figure that is playing a role, maybe your actual father, who is going to be important to you this month and help you out in some way, whether it's in your personal life or in your career. Maybe it's a mentor, a boss. But, it's funny because it could even be if you have a connection to somebody that, romantic connection, maybe even in the past with this Venus retrograde, where you have a child with somebody and maybe that person is coming back. And this is, because this is a spiritual position, it's not looking at it as good or bad, but it's like, what does this person represent to you? And is this situation good for you on all levels, not just in one way? It's interesting because the card that crosses you is the Death card. So this is kind of like in a reversed position. It can be not accepting a transition in your life. Having the World card in the past position indicates that you're going through a transition to a new period in your life, and the Death card can be that you're holding on to something that, and that is keeping you back. So perhaps the King of Pentacles, if that is a person that was someone you dealt with in the past, maybe they have been kind of someone that is hard to shake for you. Even that card right above it is a Pentacles card. So it's possible that a water sign person is the one that, you were dating or something and let you down, but really you love this earth sign. So maybe you were dating a Cancer or Pisces or a Scorpio person and you tried to forget this earth sign and you couldn't do so. It could be the other way around in this, and the Death card as a challenge position. It could be a Scorpio person who is, not good for you. And that's the person they're having trouble shaking. So, I don't know. But the advice, or what is coming in, is the Seven of Swords. If this person is a Scorpio, you probably are going to, and you know in your heart that they are obsessive, controlling individual. This is a card that's saying you're going to have to tread carefully, and you're going to have to avoid this person in a very clever way. This is about thinking cleverly about a situation that you have to deal with. And so it means that you have to be a little bit outsmart somebody, because you may be dealing with somebody who is very obsessive about holding on to the relationship, even if they cheated or something like that. And they might be the kind of person who's like, they do bad things, but they want the other person to stick around. And of course, that's totally unreasonable. But there are people like that who cannot handle the fact that other people have the right to, be told the truth and be treated fairly. And, it sounds to me like that was a question in your relationship. If this is a relationship issue, is being treated fairly. For work matters, you may have to also if you want to, like, let's say you want to do your own thing, you know, it's probably telling you not to broadcast this to other, like, coworkers, because if you're continuing to work at a place in the interim, you know, and you tell your coworkers, oh, I can't wait till I'm out of here. I'm going to be doing my own consulting. I'm going to do, you know, it could backfire, and you could end up losing your job before you're ready to leave it. So it's about discretion, is basically what I'm saying, in whatever it is that you're involved with during March. And the outcome is the 10 of Wands. So it sounds to me that you're going to be very busy work-wise for whatever reason, whether it's that you're just, you know, the job that you're doing right now, even if you don't really like it, you may have just a busy period, and this is almost like somebody who's working too hard, but it could be just, you know, a temporary thing. Maybe you take on extra work so that you can save money, so that you can leave. Could be one of those things where you take on that responsibility. In personal relationships, you may be doing more, you may be so burnt out with some of the things that you're working on that you're ready to kind of fall apart. And so that's kind of a warning sign. This would be a card, if that Six of Pentacles is that you're the one who is supporting the family, then it could be that you feel overwhelmed, that you're taking on a lot of responsibility where your partner, maybe your partner doesn't have a job. Now, in terms of gender, like the king is really associated with males. So maybe if you are a woman and it's right below that Six of Pentacles, maybe, you know, you're a woman whose partner has lost his job and you're having to support the family. And maybe there's some kind of like issue surrounding that. Because maybe, you know, maybe even you feel like, you know, your partner isn't pulling their weight in a way. But the King of Pentacles, it would be saying that you have to treat that person with dignity, that you can't lapse into this thing. Now, unless they are just totally, you know, if you feel like they're just using that as an excuse and they're just putting everything on you, that's a different story. But it could be like, you know, do not belittle the man because, you know, he's at home. Now, if he's taking care of children, then he's doing a job. Just like if you were staying at home with the children. You know, we can't belittle these positions, but treat him like a man. Now, it sounds pretty old-fashioned in 2017 for me to be saying that, but even though I'm a Sagittarius and I'm a masculine sign, and I'm not like a little woman in the kitchen, barefoot and certainly not pregnant, I'll tell you that much, I really believe in treating men with respect. And I think there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot going on nowadays with trying to belittle men, and I don't think that's cool. So it could be saying, you know, treat him like a king, even if he is not financially contributing to the family. Now you notice it is, you know, he does have the Pentacles, so you would think that in those situations that he would be, you know, there's a lot of money. Maybe it's saying that you have to be like the man in the family. Maybe you have to be the father and the mother. Maybe you're a single parent and you have gotten, you've left a relationship, because that World card could talk about transition. And so that may be why you're so overworked and overburdened as a single parent. But this too shall pass, and you will find equilibrium at some point. The Six of Pentacles is about finding that equilibrium. And so anyway, very interesting, Cancer. I hope you enjoyed this. If you would like a personal reading, please click on the link below. Otherwise, have a great month. Bye.